I know this is going to sound crazy to some, but I don't care anymore. I need to share this. I can't stay silent any longer. I don't know how, but something happened that night, something that messed with my mind in a way I can't understand. It was just another ordinary night, and I was coming home from work, tired and exhausted. When I walked into the house, the first thing I noticed was the soft sound of a familiar melody coming from the kitchen. It was a song my wife loved to hum while cooking. I smiled, feeling that little warmth in my chest that only home can offer. I stepped into the kitchen, expecting to see her there, but no, she wasn't. Only the sound of the music filled the room. I went to the bedroom to change, and as I opened the door, my blood ran cold. My wife was there with her back to me, folding clothes on the bed. I knew she had been in the kitchen, and that moment, that small lapse of time, made me shiver. Before I could say anything, I heard her voice, and it wasn't coming from the bedroom. It was coming from the hallway. "Did you see who came in with you?" The ice in my veins was nothing compared to the terror I felt when I realized that the voice speaking to me from the hallway wasn't just my wife's. It was the same melody, the same tone, but the body in front of the bed wasn't hers. It was something else, something that looked like her but wasn't her. I saw it in that moment. The figure in the hallway was smiling, a forced smile, but one perfectly molded to what my wife might have done. She was standing still, motionless, and the sound of that melody, now more distorted, echoed through the house. The terror froze me. Something was wrong. I knew it now. I jumped toward the hallway, but no one was there. I ran back to the bedroom and she was gone. The bed was a mess, clothes scattered around as if nothing had happened. But I knew she was still somewhere. I shut the bedroom door and stayed there, my heart pounding uncontrollably. My hands were trembling. The lights in the house began to flicker, and then I heard a low chuckle, but it wasn't coming from the hallway. It was coming from the back of the house, from upstairs. The air was heavy, dense, a feeling that something was watching, waiting for the right moment to reach me. I woke up the next day, and everything seemed normal, as if nothing had happened. But it wasn't. She was there in the kitchen, as always, humming the same melody, and I've never looked at her the same way again. Sometimes, when she doesn't notice, I watch her from afar. The feeling that she's never been alone since that night never leaves me. I know what I saw. I'm not crazy. The problem is, now she sometimes asks me with a strange smile, "Did you see who came in with you?" And I know that the answer, whatever it may be, will never be the right one. It was a Friday night, and I was home alone. My weekend had just started, and all I wanted was to relax after a stressful week. It was past 10 p.m. when I sat on the couch, flipping through TV channels without much interest. The house was silent, except for the low hum of some random program playing in the background. The intercom buzzed. The sound startled me because I rarely had visitors at that hour. I got up and went to the device, thinking it might be a neighbor or a wrong delivery. I answered with a hesitant hello, and then I heard it. "Hey, it's me. Let me in." It was my brother's voice. For a moment, I froze. My brain struggled to process what I had just heard. I recognized the voice instantly, the casual, easygoing tone he always used when talking to me. But that was impossible. My brother was dead. He had died 2 years ago in a car accident. "Open up, bro. It's cold out here." The voice insisted. My heart pounded. The voice was identical, but there was something off. An artificial cadence, like someone was imitating it but didn't fully understand how to sound human. "Who are you?" I asked, my throat dry. On the other end, there was a silence that stretched on forever. Then he replied, "It's me, of course. Are you going to leave me out here?" With trembling hands, I looked out the window, which had a clear view of the gate. What I saw made me step back instinctively. There was a figure standing there, just outside the reach of the faint streetlight. It had its back to the gate, but something about its posture was unsettling. Rigid, almost unnatural. When it turned, I felt my breath catch. It was my brother, or at least it looked like him. He was wearing the same clothes he had on the day of the accident. The gray hoodie torn at the shoulder and the faded jeans. But his face, something was wrong. He was smiling, but the smile was exaggerated, distorted, stretching farther than it should. His eyes were locked on the window where I stood, even though I was sure he couldn't see me in the dark. "Open the gate. It's okay," he said, softer now but perfectly audible, as if he were speaking directly into my ear. My mind was racing. This couldn't be real. This wasn't possible. But the figure remained there, unmoving with that grotesque smile. I tried calling the police, but my phone had no signal. The intercom buzzed again, louder this time, more insistent. "Are you going to leave me out here?" The voice was now deeper, almost inhuman. I didn't answer. I just dropped to the floor, out of view of the window, and stayed there trembling, listening as the intercom buzzed and stopped, as if someone was angrily pressing the button. Then, everything went silent. For a moment, I thought it was over, until I heard the back door creak open. I was sure I had locked it, but the sound of it swinging open echoed through the house. I didn't dare move. Minutes felt like hours until, finally, silence returned. When daylight came, everything seemed normal. The door was closed, and the gate was locked. But there was something I couldn't ignore. On the living room floor, there were damp footprints leading from the back door to the intercom. I've never told anyone about this before, but if you ever hear a familiar voice calling to you, even if you know it's impossible, don't answer. It all started on an ordinary night, coming home from work. The subway was crowded, as usual. I managed to get a spot in the corner of the car, near a window. It was raining outside, and the glass was fogged up. I was so tired that I almost fell asleep, but something caught my attention. My reflection in the glass. It wasn't me, or at least it wasn't exactly me. At first, it seemed normal, but when I looked closer, I realized the eyes were wrong. Empty, as if they were just two dark spots where life should have been. And the smile was crooked, as if someone who never knew how to smile was trying to imitate me. I froze. I blinked several times, rubbed my eyes. Nothing changed. My reflection was still there, but now it seemed clearer, more real. And the worst part? It wasn't copying me perfectly. When I turned my head to look around, the reflection stayed fixed, staring at me. I got off the subway at my stop, my heart racing. I tried to ignore it. I thought it was just my mind playing tricks because of the exhaustion. But when I got to my building, I saw something that made my blood run cold. At the door to my apartment, there was someone standing. It was me, or something that looked like me. It stared at me, motionless. But when I took a hesitant step forward, it did too. The movements were identical, but there was something wrong with the posture. It was exaggerated, like a caricature. I wanted to believe it was some kind of hallucination, but the sound of footsteps echoing in the hallway was real. I was hearing two sets of footsteps, mine and theirs. As I got closer, I realized that what was at my door wasn't just a reflection or a copy. The eyes were still empty, but there was something almost hungry about them. And the smile. It was the same crooked, mocking smile I had seen in the subway window. I wanted to scream, run, do anything, but I was frozen in fear. Then I realized it wasn't behind me anymore. It wasn't a reflection. It was in front of me, as if it was the dominant version of myself. I don't know where I found the courage, but I took a step back. The thing mimicked me, but the smile widened, as if it knew I was about to give in to panic. I ran. I rushed down the building stairs and into the street, not looking back. I didn't return home that night. I spent the next few weeks sleeping in hotels, avoiding any place with mirrors or reflective surfaces. But no matter where I go, I feel like it's still nearby. I've seen it out of the corner of my eye in store windows, in car mirrors, even in the water of a puddle. The worst part? It's not just imitating me anymore. Sometimes I see it doing something I've never done, something I would never do, as if it's trying to show me who it really is. I just hope it never truly takes my place.